Ladies and gentlemen, I think a property cooling measure may be coming to Singapore and it may be quite a heavy one. Let me explain to you why I think so and what are the likely changes that is likely to hit us in the property market. Let's watch on, shall we? A few days ago, Leslie Yee from Business Times published this article. The title is More Property Cooling Measures. Locals buying their first home could be hit. Don't rule out locals paying 5% ABSD for transaction over $1 million. It's very unusual for Business Times to publish these kind of articles out of the blue, and they are even very specific in describing what could possibly come. But let's watch on to see what they are saying. The first question is, why would Business Times write such an article? I always think that, Business Times, Straits Times are kind of like very subtle mouthpiece of the Singapore government. They're kind of like a soft warning system for the public. I could be wrong in this, right? But I used to think so. I think most of you are with the same opinion as well. I would just say this. Usually there is no smoke without fire. So what might he have observed? Could he be inspired by something he have heard or seen or even guided? I don't know. But let's assume that there's no smoke without fire. Let's watch what did he say. First of all, why is there a need for a cooling measure? I think there is a possibility because the HDB prices are increasing at an increasing pace, right? Prices are just rising astronomically. And just look at this, right? It used to be around 1.1%. It went up to 1.8% in 2024 first quarter. Second quarter, 2.3. Third quarter, 2.7. The rate of change is rising and rising significantly. Now, for three-room flats now in Punggol and Sengkang, not prime area, are now above $500,000. That's a really, really insane amount, right? So this three-room flat, and in Sembawang, it's going for $495. And these are some insane prices that I never thought it's possible. Now it's hitting everybody. And it's just insane to think about this possibility. And prices for four-room flats are reaching in the borderline of $1 million in Queenstown. And Bukit Merah, it has risen to about $900,000. Queenstown, $950,000. Kallang, $900,000. These amounts are just unbelievable, right? Yes, there are other places that are somewhat more affordable, but these prices are just rising astronomically, and I think it's sending a lot of people in a heartbeat that's a lot faster. Some out of joy, some out of worry, depending who you are. And the third quarter median resale price for five-room flats in Bishan is also close to $1 million right now. So this is now no longer isolated ones. These are averages of Bishan, which means that almost all Bishan five-room flats are now $1 million on the borderline. Ang Mo Kio is also on borderline of $1 million and so. So these are very, very big numbers, and clearly this is something that has risen astronomically. And I imagine the government has to do something. And we all know the heart-pumping prices that we're seeing in HDB, but in the private property market so far has been quite subdued. And suddenly, in November, there was a huge spike in number of transacted private properties. And in fact, it is the highest since 2013 for a month. So if you look at here, somewhere around here, you hit a very big number. And since then, nothing, I think, pom, it goes up. And that sends everybody into a shock and the market into a frenzy that this could be a resurgence. Well, that's largely because there are many new launches in November, and there are in fact 6 new launches. And somewhat, a lot of people are believing that there is very attractive deals, and these units, after you buy them, once a TOP, you could sell them at a good price. Plus the fact that, we now have falling interest rates. All these combined together has set a new stage and a new kind of a tide for the entire property market to turn around. Are cooling measures coming? BT certainly thinks so. I thought Business Times certainly thinks so. Barclay also thinks so. Singapore home sales surge leads to decade high, stroking curbs concern. So the boom is renewing speculation for further housing curbs as the government seeks to allay voters' concern about housing affordability ahead of election. The problem is this: prices going too high, voters are not happy. Prices crashing, voters are not so happy. So it's a very fine art. I need to say this again and again and again, that the problem should not have been there if there were curbs done much earlier. But once you let the market goes up sky high, to bring it down, it's very painful, and there's a lot of risk politically for GEs and things like that. So I'm very concerned about this. If we let it go very gradual, and there are many ways to do it, then this would not be a concern. Right now, we really have an issue, and certainly, this is something that Barclays says that it reflects the possibility of more aggressive real estate curbs if the government fails to tame house buying. Citigroup forecasts a reversal of price decline, which could partially heighten policy risk. On the other hand, DBS thinks that cooling measures are premature. And so DBS came out with a statement and says that no evidence of bubble yet. Call for property market cooling measures premature. I think they're biased, and they are conflicted because they profit from property market exuberance, right? A lot of people, when the property market is exuberant, they profit from it, right? Through loans and things like that. So I would discount a lot of what they say as just being biased and conflicted. So back to Leslie Yee from Business Times. So this writer thinks that cooling measures are possible. So can ABSD rate increase further? It's possible if the momentum in new private homes launches became strong and home prices climb quickly over the next few months. So if the cooling measures were to come, what is likely to come and who will kena? So let's watch. He thinks that there will be a 5% ABSD for locals for the first home. And I think that's quite serious. 5% for first home is a very big rate, and I assume this is all in cash. Perhaps a potential new round of ABSD will hit locals and PRs who are buying the first home, say with rates between 5 to 10%. And these rates could apply to homes that sell for more than $1 million. He thinks that the right thing to do is to target those homes that are selling for more than $1 million. And currently, right now, Singaporeans buying the first property, you don't pay ABSD. PR buying the first property, they pay 5%. He thinks that if this policy will be implemented maybe next year, it will become 5% for Singaporeans buying the first property and 10% for PRs buying their first property. So it will be quite a heavy hit on first-timers. Second, he thinks that ABSD on $1 million resale HDB is possible. And he is alluding to the possibility that it could be a 5% for local and 10% for PR. And that needs to cool down all these $1 million HDB resale flat. Now, someone might say, Mr. Lu, it's going to hit your flat as well. Your flat has exceeded $1 million. Yes, but you know what? It's just paper wealth. I sell this flat, where the hell am I going to stay, right? So this wealth is, I call it many times like KKK wealth, right? On paper looks good, but I cannot realize it in my lifetime. So he thinks that this 5% for local and 10% for PR ABSD should not just hit private property, but also slam on $1 million HDB resale flats. Why do we need all these cooling measures? Let's see what Leslie Yee says. Well, first and foremost, it only hits a small proportion of the HDB resale market. So currently, right now, about more than 90% of the HDB transactions are below $1 million. So when you whack on the high value ones, you only affect a small group of transactors. So in that sense, the impact is a lot less from a population and maybe a voters kind of environment. So it will help to cool down the top end of the HDB resale flat. And when the top end is cooled down, the spillover effect to the condo will also cool down as well. So this is something that I think it's a very interesting idea. So the second thing is that an ABSD of 5 to 10% can cool down the residential private property market because now the buyers have to fork out much more money, especially when all these have to be funded using cash. It's a lot of money, Let's say 5% of $1 million is $50,000 in cash. Not many people have $50,000 in cash, And of course, when you hit on the HDB as well, the HDB sellers who now profited from a lesser amount of profits will have a lesser impact on the private property market as well. So collectively, all this will have a powerful impact on the residential private property market. Oh, he also said that, these ABSD will also curb the idea of decoupling, right? A lot of real estate agents right now encourage decoupling. That means that for a husband and wife, they're now having a joint name on a house. If you decouple your ownership, that means the house is now owned by separate names. So your wife will now own your existing house, and you can go and buy a separate house. This is what I call decoupling. And currently under the law, you actually are allowed to do so for private property market. You can avoid ABSD. Right now with this kind of new rules, then you cannot siam ABSD. So he actually thinks that this will reduce the demand from buyers who buy investment homes. And of course, to the government, it's a welcome new source of tax revenue. You tax the rich, and now you have more money to fund government operations and things like that. And it also tackles wealth inequality. So people who can buy all these are generally richer. You go tax them and give to poorer people. I think this is a very wise strategy from this perspective. Will this happen? Now, in my personal opinion, I think chances of some form of cooling measures are high. The question is, will it hit so hard to have 5-10% ABSD? The answer is, I don't know. But as I said, there is no smoke without fire. And I think this is a warning to the market that things could come if things get carried away. I would say that most Singaporeans who are exuberant of property market will write this off. And those people who are not buying or selling, we just watch and see. But those people are on the fence, I think you got to think twice whether this is coming and whether this has an impact on the market. I would say this, even if this were to come true, in a short run, there should be some impact. But in the long run, I'm not so sure, okay, because Singapore market is just insanely exuberant right now until a economic slowdown. Could this spill over to the lower tier HDB resale flat, meaning that you also impose ABSD for HDB resale flat? I think it's possible, but I think the chances are low because it hits a mass population and affect the wealth of the population. And as a result, voters may not be happy. So I think the chance of this happening is quite low. Basically, hit the rich, and good luck to you if you are rich, especially from a property perspective. A lot of people might say, hey, I'm owning a condo or landed property, but I'm actually not rich. But that's not the government measure. The government measure says that the minute you own a condo and a landed property, you are rich. I don't care about your bank account whatsoever. You get a lot less benefit and things like that, and potentially get taxed more if you want it. Maybe you should consider be like Mr. Lu, right? Just stay HDB. So my neighbors are clearly very well to do. I can see from their cars. I can see a lot of BMWs. I can see a lot of Mercedes. I can see quite a few Porsches and things like in my HDB estates. So I'm very sure there are very well-to-do neighbors around my neighborhood. And I'm driving a simple car, okay, 1.5-liter Honda. So very outa. So what do you think, right? Do you think that this will happen? Please give me your comments on YouTube. And also, join us in our Telegram group at Lu1865. We have a wonderful, exuberant community there. Very excited to share everybody their investments, experience, and know-how. So please join it, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.